Hello, this is Neil from iPaintGirls.com and MasterEdit.com. The links to my sites are in the description. You can visit them for more free tutorials on art and on writing. This particular series is going to be on how to write screenplays. So if you're interested in writing screenplays that sell, then this series is for you. This particular video is going to focus on the introduction and on formatting and why it's important to learn formatting, although it's boring. But before that, why this video rather than, let's say, just getting some books by, Syd Field and Truby and so forth, and maybe some websites? Why go through a video series? Well, for one reason, I'm going to go through a lot of information that's not in those books. Like, is it exterior or interior when Bob hangs out of the car and shoots his gun? Things like this, common questions that come up, for formatting. And also a lot of detail about story structure and plotting. If you're more of a hands-on kind of learner, visual learner, audible learner, then also this series will be for you too, because I explain things in ways that I like to learn, in the ways I learn easily, in an easy to understand way. These are just some of the topics we'll be going over. As we go through this series, I'll be developing a screenplay with you, so you'll see it done hands-on, step by step, and I think that's one of the best ways of learning. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started then. So we'll start with formatting. But before we start with formatting, there's a website here that you want to go to, Celtic. So if you can't afford to get something like Final Draft, don't try to write your screenplay in Word. Go ahead and get Celtic. It's free, and it'll handle a lot of the formatting for you like Final Draft does. I don't know if it works just like Final Draft. I've never used it before, and for this video I'll be using Final Draft. Another website here is trilane.com. Don't type trilane.com into the browser. Type in www.trilane.com. That's the only way the site works. Then go to Spec Script Format, and here you have everything you need to know about, well, mostly everything you need to know about formatting your screenplay. So because it'll be easy for you just to go and read this, I'm not going to go through all the steps here and everything that's covered here. What I am going to do is go through things that aren't covered as we go through formatting, and I'm going to show you step by step like how to format within Final Draft, and hopefully it's the same within Celtics if you're going to use that free version. The first thing then is just the measurements. I want to quickly just show what the measurements are. You can go to the website and check it out yourself. So if Celtics doesn't have these measurements as default, then you go ahead and set them. I just use the default settings in Final Draft. What's important though, and I want to stress this point that's here, in fact on the site this should be bolded, I think. Everything from the title page to the last page of your script should use the font 12 point, don't get any bigger, don't get any smaller, and make it Courier or Courier New. Don't do anything else. Don't get fancy. Don't make your title bigger than what the default is. Don't make your name bigger. Don't change the font of your title because it looks more fancy. All of that looks unprofessional. And here's the thing. Hollywood has standards and they want you to follow them. They're kind of snobbish. If you don't follow those standards, it decreases your chances of your screenplay making it. It's hard enough to make it in Hollywood, so don't ruin your chances by not following the standard formatting. So it'd be like this. There's readers, right? Most likely your screenplay will first land in a reader's lap. A reader's job is to keep the screenplay piled down. Screenplays come piling in by the dozens, or probably by the hundreds. But anyway, they come piling in. And what the reader's job is to keep those piles down, to get through as many screenplays as possible. That's their job. And they're trained how to follow these standards. So they'll look at it and be like, oh, look at, they use fancy fonts. The font, the formatting's all wrong. Next. It's just that simple. And most of the time that's going to be the case. Next. And your screenplay is never read, even though it might be a great screenplay. They'll never know it because they're not even going to take the time to read it. So it's important that you follow these Hollywood standards and maximize your chances of getting read. Alright, so that's that. Now we're going to go on to master scene heading. Like I said, I'm not going to read this to you, but I'm going to just show you how to do it in Final Draft for a second. So let's go ahead and open up a new document. So when you start your screenplay, the first thing you want to do is type fade in. So on Final Draft, just hit cap locks, type fade in, and then a semicolon. The next thing, it automatically knows that the next thing you want to do is a scene heading. So go ahead and do it. Let's say it's going to be interior because this will be taking place, let's say, inside of Dan's house, and it'll be daytime. That's how a slug line looks. You don't want to ever deviate from that. It's always a period, it's always a dash, it's never anything else. Don't leave space in space. Even if some professor tells you to do it, don't do it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This is the standard. This is what Hollywood expects to see. This is what a reader expects to see. If they see anything else, you decrease your chances of being read. So don't get fancy with it. Just follow the rules and you'll increase your chances. Let's say though that it's in Dan's house, but specifically in the living room. Well, you don't have to do it that way. You can also use mini slug lines. So instead, we'll go like this, and then we'll type a mini slug line. So cap locks, I don't need cap locks down. Instead, what I'm going to do, because I want my mini slug lines to show up over here in the navigator, that way I can quickly jump between them as well. So I'm going to type interior dot to make sure that it recognizes as a slug line. I'm going to erase it, and then I'm going to type in living room. So now it shows up over here as a mini slug line, and I can quickly jump between those. If they're on different pages, it'll quickly jump to that page. It's a quick way to navigate through your screenplay. So I recommend doing it that way. Then you have an action line, Dan does whatever, and then you would say, let's say, interior dot erase, and then bathroom. So basically what mini slug lines are is mini slug lines take place under the master heading, or the master slug line. So this is the master scene heading. So it's all in Dan's house. So as long as all these mini slug lines are within Dan's house, then everything is okay. If the mini slug line takes place somewhere else, you've done it incorrectly. Once you change locations, you're no longer in Dan's house, you're now somewhere else, then you would have to do another master scene heading or another master slug line. Just quickly to note, because it's a question that's often brought up with mini slug lines, is what if you're writing a battlefield? So the master heading is it takes place on a battlefield, and then the mini slug lines can be people. So you can say, for a slug line, put Bob or something, and then now we know that we're following Bob on the battlefield, and then you can switch over to another character on the battlefield. This works for things like Lord of the Rings, some of the battle scenes in Lord of the Rings, and also in what was that movie called with Braveheart? That's right. Sorry about that. Brain wasn't thinking of the movie. And so it works for Braveheart as well. Right, so another thing I wanted to go into is interior and exterior, because there's some questions that come up with interior and exterior a lot for novices. And they'll ask questions like, well, if Bob is hanging outside the window of a car, of a moving vehicle, is that interior or exterior? Let's say he hangs out to shoot his gun. Well, as you start, it would be interior, let's say, because let's say he's still inside the car. The basic rule is this. If it's inside the car, if the camera's inside the car, if that's what you want us to see, is the inside of the car, then you type interior. If you want us to see the outside of the car, you type exterior. It's really that simple. This goes for anything, whether it's a helicopter with a big side of it ripped open, half the helicopter is missing, or has a big open door and a machine gunner. If you want us to view that machine gunner from the outside of the helicopter, you type exterior. If you want us to view it from inside, like over his shoulder or something as he's shooting, then it's interior. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's a skeletal structure of a building. That is, there's no walls at all. If you're inside that skeletal structure, it's interior. If you're outside, it's exterior. So you start, let's say, interior, car, and then we'll say it's night. And and let's say Jim puts a, well, not, you don't want to type stupidly. Jim puts a clip. That sounds, Jim puts a clip into his gun. Sounds dull. So Jim slams a clip into his 9mm. That sounds better. And then now you want to show, and then let's say, then hangs out the window. Right? Now you want to show from the outside, so then you would say exterior, car, night. Jim unloads on the truck behind him. Like this. That's how you do that. So it just depends where you want us to see it. This is actually your chance to direct a little bit. It's the only chance as a spec writer that you really get to direct so clearly exactly where you want that camera to be. You're telling that camera to be by typing interior and exterior. Now, of course, the director might not follow that. He might decide, you know what, I don't really like this as interior. We're going to do this as exterior instead. But you can at least suggest it by typing interior and exterior. That's how you're visualizing the scene. What's important when you read scripts online, this can be confusing for novices. When you're reading scripts online, what's important to understand is that you're often reading director scripts and so forth. And director scripts will have camera directions, and the camera pans this way and this kind of shot and so forth, but that doesn't go into a spec script. It'll only decrease your chances, make you look unprofessional, would probably irritate a director anyway, and so now your screenplay never makes it. So don't irritate people in Hollywood. Follow the rules. So in a spec script, you don't direct. You don't say, we see this, we hear that. In fact, that's weak writing anyway. Instead of saying, we see a bird flying, just type, the bird flies. We already know we're seeing it. You're telling us by saying the bird flies, so we know what we see. We know what we're seeing on screen. So just tell us what we see on screen. Don't say we see. Don't direct like that. But there are times you might find that the only way to really word something is by saying, you know, we're this or we that, but for the most part you want to stay away from that, and definitely never write and the camera does this and the camera does that and the camera's over here. Right, so back to Dan's house. Interior, Dan's house, day, and let's say we're in the living room, and we're going to say Dan strolls, or Dan picks up his cell and strolls into. I'm going to pause and tell us where we're going into. That you do that by doing the M dash there. Let's say the next place where it's going to be is going to be the bathroom. So he strolls into the bathroom. That's the next mini slug. And then I continue on saying where I cut off at, into the bathroom, and dials a number. Let's say this is all boring. This wouldn't be in a real screenplay. I'm just showing it for an example. Or and speaks into his phone, or I don't know, and dials a number, beat, and then I go into Dan. To do that, you hit enter and then tab in the software. I think that works for the free software too, the Celtic software. So when I hit tab, it automatically takes me over here, and now I'm going to type, let's say Dan, that's his name, tab again, into phone to show that he's speaking into the phone, and then yo, what's up? This is not the kind of writing really want to have inside of a screenplay, but I'm just showing for example how you would do that. So if you want to show him moving from one room to the other, that's one way to do it. But it's probably better just to cut from one to the other. He picked up his cell phone and then just, that's it, period, and then bathroom, and then continue where it left off. So that, you know, so there's a cut there. You're cutting off that whole walking from one room to the other. Unless it's important, you know, why have it there? We can realize that he made it to the bathroom, that he moved from one place to the other. Our minds can fill in the blanks. Alright, so everything else is pretty much covered in this site. So you just want to go ahead and go through all these options here. You know, click on all these and read through all of this. Once you read through all of that, you'll have a good idea of how to format your screenplay. And I have already gone through the things that I feel that I needed to go through. Sorry about my phone in the background. But real quick, I want to mention off-screen and voiceover because I don't know if the site makes it clear enough. So basically it's like this. This is an easy way to look at it. If the character is on set, but he's not on screen at the time, he's not on the camera, let's say he's in the other room, right? So the camera right now is in the bathroom, or rather the camera right now is in the bedroom, but the person just walked into the bathroom and the bathroom is off screen and they're still talking. That becomes off screen. So you put off screen next to their name, and just show you what it looks like this. So let's say tab Dan, and then I would type tab again. Oops, I would type tab now. Wait, no, Dan. I would type space and then the bracket there, and then I would type off screen, excuse me. And then you type what they say because they're off screen because they're now in the bathroom, whatever. So that's how that would look. So basically, that's how you do. Damn it, losing my train of thought because the phone keeps doing that. So that's how you do the off screen. Everything else is voiceover. Whether the voice is coming through a telephone, a television, it's that all-powerful God narrator voice. Even if the person's in the scene, doesn't matter. If their mouth isn't moving, it's voiceover. Okay, so there you have it. That's off-screen and voiceover. Just wanted to cover that really quickly. If you have any questions after going through all this, and any more questions that you feel aren't answered here, please leave them in the comments below. So make a comment to ask a question. Don't send me a PM, please. I prefer that you leave a comment. The reason why is the more comments this video gets, the more views it'll get. It just helps it get more views. Also, the more ratings it gets, the more views it'll get. The more views it gets means the more people will help. I like to help people, so let's help people, folks. Leave your questions in the comment section. Appreciate it.